Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Pause up, pet pals. Welcome to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life show. Yep, I am Arden Moore. Our special guest has put her life on the line as a firefighter. She's traveled to nearly every state with an amazing Dalmatian, Molly, the fire safety dog. And this gal is on a mission to teach kids about fire safety. I want you to please at this time join me in giving pause and applause to the remarkable Dana Hilton of the Keep Kids Fire Safe Foundation. Whew, that's a mouthful. Welcome to the show, Dana.
Thank you, Arden. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're my first firefighter on my show. What do you think?
Really? Wow,
Yeah,
I feel
amazing.
honored.
Yeah. Well, folks, this gal has so much to tell you, and it's gonna come from the heart. She and a pair of Dalmatians through the years have actually helped kids save lives, help educate kids about fire safety, and help kids understand that Dalmatians are just awesome, right?
That is exactly right. They are. And you are spot on that.
Oh, snap. We got a pun off right now, right here and right now. And I do want to roll the tape back in time because tell us a little bit about you wanting to be a firefighter, where you did it. And I know you're based in Arkansas now, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So reel the tape back. A young Dana.
A young Dana, imagine first grade, which is what, 6 years old maybe. And it was a tour to the Fayetteville Fire Department with my teacher, Miss O'Neill, and all my classmates. And at that time, if you could believe it, I said to myself, I want to do that. I want to be a firefighter. Now, a few years later, I had college and life and all of that goes on. I was about 37, I believe. And I decided, you know what? It's time. My son had grown up and I didn't have as much going on. And I thought, I really want to help make a difference. I really want to help my community. It's time to be a volunteer firefighter. So I went to the fire station. Well, first, I got to tell you the story. I called my dad and I said, Dad, I want to be a firefighter. And the first thing he said was, did you know that I was a volunteer firefighter? And I said, I did not know that. That is the coolest story ever. And he was sharing some things with me. And he said, I'm really proud of you. Just go for it. And I said, I'm going to do it. So I went up to the fire station. I was a little nervous.
Fire station. Where is this?
It's in Ludwig, which is about 5 miles from my house. It's a rural volunteer fire station, fire department. It's called Johnson County RFD number 1. And it protects about 45 square miles at the base of the Ozark Mountains. So I went up to the fire station. I was a little nervous, I can't lie. And I met the fire chief and I said, hi, I'm Dana. I'd really like to become a part of the fire department and help out the community and fight fires. And he said, welcome. And we're so glad you're here. And that right there, I just went, I thought this is going to be it for a while. And it was for 18 years until I retired. Wow. So,
as a volunteer firefighter, you still need to go through training. You're still going in buildings. You're still, so, I mean, how hard was that training for you?
I loved every single minute of it. And before I started actually with the fire department, I said to myself, I am never, ever going to complain about this. I'm not going to complain. It's too hot. I have to get up at 4 a.m. All of those things you think about, I'm going to get dirty. It wasn't like that at all. It was like, this is something I've wanted to do all my life. And I am so excited. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to be a part of the team, going to do my job. And there you go. So I went out to the station, like I said, met the fire chief and met the firefighters and was like, this is amazing. And I did take a lot of training. I am a certified firefighter too, which is
good.
many, many, many hours and tons of classes and tons of live burns and the things that you would imagine that firefighters have to go through. And I also became a certified instructor to help teach other firefighters. And let's see what else. There's several things that I did, but not only do you just do become certified, which can take you a couple of years, you also have to keep training all the time, because it's like with anything in life, you always have to kind of keep up to date and brush up on things. And when you think about it now, compared to when I was a firefighter back then, look at all the changes. You have electric cars, which is a whole different thing in itself as far as fighting fires. You also have firefighters suffering from cancer from the carcinogens, either in the fire, or think about being in a house that has all new materials, newer materials, compared to houses back in the 40s where everything was more natural. Your furniture, your bedding, all of that might have been a little bit more flammable, but think about all those toxins when firefighters go into a house now. It's a whole different thing.
I understand. Like, I live in a 1941 house in Dallas, but we added a mega bedroom, walk-in closet, another bathroom, master suite, other things. So 1/3 of our house is of that new material. The other is the old material. So I always feel like I'm a contrast, I guess. But there was a saying, and we're going to talk about it after we take a break in a bit. But I learned from some firefighters as a teacher. I teach pet first aid for Pet First Aid for You. They say, keep your bedroom door closed at night because you want to close before you doze. What's that mean, Dana?
Well, what you want to do is make sure that you close the door before you go to bed, because fire, remember how I talked about all those flammable materials and toxins and everything? Fire can spread very fast. As a matter of fact, your home can become totally engulfed in flames in as little as 2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes. So you want to do what you can to get out. Well, that's a whole nother thing I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit. But back to the door part, the fact that your house can become totally engulfed in flames so quickly, fire can spread quickly. If you close that door, it has the potential of slowing it down a bit. I've actually seen pictures where the whole house is in ashes, but that room is still there and everything looks like it just did. Now, that's not always the case, but I've seen that happen before. So it is really important to make sure that you close.
So we got tip number 1 under the belt. We're talking
about
one. And she's with Keep Kids Fire Safe Foundation. When we come back from the break, we're going to learn about 2 very special Dalmatians, Sparkle, and also Molly. So you know the drill. Sit, stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. We are getting schooled in a very amazing, helpful way about fire safety from a person who is a firefighter. She dedicated her many years to it, and she didn't turn off the fire hose when she, quote, retired. She said, I think I can expand and team up with a couple of superheroes. First up, she had a dog she adopted, actually a rescue, I understand, a Dalmatian named Sparkles. We're going to learn about Sparkles, and then when Sparkles went to heaven, you got another Dalmatian by the name of Molly. So tell me about Sparkles. What, as a firefighter, what made you see? I mean, everybody loves the Dalmatian on a fire truck, but what was the deal here? And tell us about how you found Sparkles.
Well, it was completely by accident that the two things intersected. But
Okay.
I was looking online. I had shared with my husband, Robert, I said, it would be really cool to have a Dalmatian. I did realize that they were mascots of the fire service, but I didn't, that was all I knew at the time. So I said, what do you think about adopting a Dalmatian? He's like, that's cool. So I found a dog online called Daisy. This was back in 2004, I believe. And
Okay.
I found Daisy, and it said her description was she was calm and she loved children. And I went, that's it.
Yeah.
So we
That's the
got in the
two good
car.
traits.
That's
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was looking for. Um, because I was constantly around children, so it was really important to me to at least have a pet. Remember, I was thinking pet that liked children.
Mhm.
And so we drove to Tulsa, which is a couple hours from here, and I met her. And when I met her, we were in a local pet store, and some kids came up. I was petting her and all this. When the kids came up, she laid down, she turned over, and she let them pet her belly.
Oh, my dog. Yeah. Nice.
That, if I had any doubts, which I didn't, that was it. So we adopted her and brought her back home. Now, I learned later on that Sparkles had kind of a tough life before she was
Uh-huh.
rescued. She lived in a house with 62 other dogs.
Oh, no.
And it was a hoarding situation. And I won't go into a lot of details, but let's just say it wasn't good. But Daisy was the owner's main dog, and so she was loving. She was very loving. So brought her home, took her to the fire station. I said, all right, everybody, what do you think we should name her? We
Yeah.
had Dot, Spot, everything you could
Okay.
imagine. And then somebody said, she seems kind of like sparkly to me, because she was so happy. Even though she had such a miserable life, she was the happiest dog. And now she was really happy, right?
Yeah. She
So
won the
the
puppy lotto with you.
she I tell you, we both did. We both were lucky to find each other. And so we named her Sparkles. And one day I was working on my fire safety program, and I thought, you know what? I wonder if Sparkles can crawl. I wonder, because I was thinking about if she could crawl. And one of the things that we teach children and adults is how important it is to crawl low under smoke. The air is cleaner and
Okay.
cooler there. So
Yes.
12 to
Very good.
24 inches. So if you can remember that, there's another safety tip for you. So
Yes.
anyway, I had asked her to crawl low for me. Now, at the time, phones could make videos, but there is no sound, right?
Right.
It's hard to imagine that now, but it was actually like that. So I asked her to crawl, and you know what? She did it. She did it.
Whoa.
And I have it on video. It's a very dark video. It has no sound, but you know what? It means the world to
It
me.
means everything. That's like a Rembrandt in your house. So,
Everything. And so sorry, I
so
have
I
little tears.
understand.
Oh,
It's all right.
but
There's a story I want you to share because Sparkles became part of your team. And you
yes.
mentioned Angelica. What's a little 5-year-old?
Well, this is a very special story, and every time I tell it, I get goosebumps. Every time I tell it, and I've been telling this story since 2006. Okay.
Okay.
So, Sparkles and I were asked to go to a school in Tulsa and share fire safety. So we did. At the time, I had written a children's book called Sparkles the Fire Safety Dog. It was actually the first edition of this book, but it was the same. So we took the book to the school. I sat down, I read the book to the children, and the book includes 4 key fire safety tips, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And
Okay.
so we did our program, came back to Arkansas. Well, over Christmas break, the principal calls me and she says, Dana, are you sitting down? And I thought, my first instinct is always, this is going to be bad.
No,
I
no.
don't
Okay.
tend to think on the positive side, but anyway, I said, yes, I'm sitting down. And she said, two children from two separate families knew what to do when they had an actual fire-related situation over Christmas because of what you taught them. And my mouth
I'm
just
doing a
went.
pause and applause right now. You and Sparkles. Yes, go ahead. So where does we have a couple minutes left before the break.
Yes.
What was happening with
Okay, so we go to the
Angelica?
school. We go to the school, and I talked to Angelica, and I said, Angelica, tell me your story. She says, firefighter Dana, I was under the covers, and the smoke came. I got out of bed. I crawled low, just like Sparkles taught me to. And she looked back at her daddy and said, Daddy, Daddy, you need to crawl low. And by this time, he was standing up, and the fumes and everything were kind of getting to him, but she was able to coax him out of the house. And the firefighters, by crawling low, and the firefighters shared with me that when they got to the door, she got out okay. When the dad got to the door, uh, and they scooped him up, the house totally became engulfed in flames.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And
gosh.
so I shared with the teacher or the principal on the way back to Arkansas. I called her and said, do you realize that Sparkles just saved a life? And she said, yes, Dana, that's why you were here. And it's at that moment I decided I wanted to become a fire safety educator and do this for the rest of my life.
So you started with Sparkles, and how long were you able to team up with Sparkles?
For 8 wonderful years. And this is a picture of Angelica and Sparkles when we went to visit her.
And let me share for our radio folks, it's a frame that says, I heart my dog. And in it is a picture with Angelica hugging Sparkles, who's wearing a red fire helmet, and of course with Dana. So that's better than the Hope Diamond. Come on, Dana.
It was a very special time. Do I have a second to share a story with you that will be short?
We have about 30 seconds before the break.
They also shared with me that in that fire, the only thing that survived the fire was Sparkle's book. It was sitting on a table.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. Now I got chills up my spine. Hey, everybody, strap yourself in because we're going to get some tales from Dana Hilton. She is the executive director of Keep Kids Fire Safe Foundation. It's a nonprofit. We were talking a little bit about her first Dalmatian fire safety dog, Sparkles. And when we come back, we're going to talk about her second dog, Molly. So stay. We'll be right back. Pause up, everybody. Welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. I'm here talking to Dana Hilton. She is the executive director of Keep Kids Fire Safe Foundation. She's in Arkansas, but this gal has been around all over the world with not one, but then a second Dalmatian dog to teach fire safety. We were sharing the story of her first Dalmatian dog, Sparkles, and the impact that this dog has made on kids and adults. Take it away, Dana. You had something else you'd like.
Sparkles was just an amazing dog. She was mentioned on the floor of Congress and also in a Senate committee hearing meeting. We did PBS Kids Sprout together, which is a 24-hour children's network at the time. And many of the things we can just learn from animals, can't we? And
Yes,
I learned from her so much. And when she passed, I was, of course, incredibly sad, thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to continue? All those things you think about when you've lost a pet. And that's when Molly came into my life.
Oh
Molly,
my gosh, she knows how to tee it up. All right. So
Molly
how did you find Molly?
I found Molly from a breeder, and I wanted to go that route. I really appreciated the adoption part of it, but if I was going to continue to do this, I felt, to start with a puppy and to also have a dog. Yeah, also have a dog that would live longer. And I didn't, of course, know how long Sparkles was going to live, but through that experience with Sparkles, I thought it's time. So I went down to Louisiana and got Molly, and I fell in love with her. And she was actually the last in the litter, the last to be chosen. She had 10 brothers and sisters that were picked before her. And you know what? I'm
What?
so glad they passed her up. And a lot of it had to do with her patch ear, which I think is adorable. And that's one of the things, the stories I would share with children. Now I would share, okay, Molly has something that's very unique. What is it? And they'd say, her ear. That's right. Do you know that all of us have something that makes us very special? And then I'd ask them, if you put 100 Dalmatians in a room, which dog do you think they would see first? And they go, Molly. That's
Awesome.
right.
Very
So,
nice
whatever
teaching.
you have that makes you special, you're very, very lucky. So, that was kind of one of those lessons that we put in there.
So not only were you've been a firefighter, you're an amazing teacher too. In a
Oh,
very
thank you.
No, I like that because you teamed up. So, Molly, was Molly's personality like?
Molly, when I got her, she was so incredibly smart. And I knew that whenever we were at the airport getting ready to board the plane, and I had been reading a lot of books on how to train your dog because that's one of the things I wanted to do. I started right away. I had to actually wait to pick her up until Hurricane Irene passed through Louisiana.
Oh,
So
wow.
instead of the 8 weeks, getting her at 8 weeks, I got her at 9, which gave me a little bit more time to study. But anyway, at the airport, I asked her to sit, with her treat, trying to coax her down, and she did it. And I was like, this is great. And everybody fell in love with her on the plane. A funny story. The stewardesses were like, she's so cute. They wanted to hold her. Everybody else had left the plane. They're holding the dog. And finally, somebody came into the plane and said, all right, ladies, we got to wrap this up. There's a whole bunch of people ready to board this plane.
Oh no. Well, that's
And
okay.
so,
She made a good grand entrance, and I read that she wore red painted nails. Right.
yes,
That's
yes, she did. And you can actually see this in this painting that our friend June did. She had red nails for whenever we did our presentation. And that's the one thing all the kids remembered, the red nails. That
what
and
else
the
did she
fire
sport?
safety messages that Molly taught them. But I started her right away. The very first fire safety presentation she did was in a barn, if you can believe that, at the base of the Ozark Mountains, and she did a great job. And she loved it. Absolutely loved kids.
So she did the crawl pretty quick, huh?
Oh yeah, she got that. She got that very quick, and she actually went on to be a trick dog champion. She knew 81 different tricks, but
Oh my
many of
gosh.
those were fire safety related behaviors that we could do to help teach kids about fire safety. And so that was very beneficial. If we needed to talk about, make sure you don't put anything in front of your door or put things in front of your window because you need to escape. I'd say, Molly, go get that. And so she'd get that and move it and bring it to me. And I was able to capture that. By this time, videos had advanced significantly.
With audio. Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Yeah.
I was able to actually capture all of that and make fire safety videos.
So Molly, the fire safety dog, I probably it's this dog is very well known. This dog had been to every state but Idaho with you.
Well, she
Or
had Skyped. We also not
okay,
only shared our fire safety programs all across the country and into part of Canada, but our big thing was virtual fire safety programming. We started that
good.
in 2010, which back then hardly anybody did. Nobody knew what it was, but it was a big part of our life from then until now. And so the dogs have collectively Skyped with children. And back then it was Skype, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Done shared our virtual fire safety program with children from all states and 34 different countries.
Oh my
And
gosh.
unfortunately, Molly, she had helped with the 49 countries, but unfortunately, she passed away.
49 states.
States.
Yeah.
That's right. Unfortunately, she passed away 1 week before we were to Skype with our children from Idaho, which was our 50th state, but her little brother stepped in and helped, and you'll get to meet him in a little while.
His name is what?
Bowden.
Okay.
And that's
and I
after
know that-
Chief. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. My bad.
I named him after Chief Bowden on Chicago Fire. Molly and I are huge Chicago Fire fans, and that's another thing she liked to do is go up there and hang out with the actors. And that's a whole nother story for another time.
You got a little kind of walking gigs or in the background kind of actor credits, right? You and Molly?
We did for the movie Superpower Dogs.
Okay.
She didn't actually get to get on Chicago Fire, but we were huge fans and hung out up there quite a bit in Chicago. But we did do the movie. She was the official ambassador for the IMAX movie Superpower Dogs, and she was also a background actor. So if you look really close in the film, you'll see her. It's just like, oh, there she was. Actually, the first time we watched it, my husband didn't even see her.
You can see the patch on the ear. Dang it. I also understand that in 2019, the American Kennel Club awarded a big honor to Molly. What was that one called?
It was a huge honor, the ACE Awards, and we went down to Florida, and it was one of those things when your dog is recognized in that way. It is a tremendous honor and very humbling. And but you know what? Molly was every part of being deserving for that.
Yeah.
She loved what she did. She actually helped keep kids safe, just like Sparkles did, and just so proud of her for all that she was able to accomplish. Now, Molly was not only a fire safety dog, she was my best friend. We traveled all over together. We did everything together, like you and your dogs. And for everyone out there, you know, your animals are so special to you, but Molly had a little something that was special. And, you know, it's kind of unusual for me to be sitting here by myself, because if she was here, she'd be sitting right here beside me. But she's not here, but I still feel her presence right here.
I hear you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Molly and wrap this show up and maybe get a chance to learn about Bowden. And she promises us some fire safety tips. So stay. We're going to be right back. Hey, Pet Pals, welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. We are with Dana Hilton. She is the executive director of a nonprofit foundation called Keep Kids Fire Safe Foundation. After the show, please go to keepkidsfiresafe.org and help her out, because she's got a lot of things she's doing to help kids all over the place. We were talking about Molly and Molly being your best friend. And I know Molly passed away recently, but it sounds like her legacy continues.
That's right. Molly lives on in the hearts of children everywhere, and not only children, but adults as well. And so she, like you said, she's not here, but she's here. She's here.
Yeah. And at the end of the show, she's going to introduce us to a dog in training, Bowden. But right now, we have a firefighter in the house. And we talked about closing the bedroom door. Yeah, closing that bedroom door, close before you doze. But Dana, share some tips, because we need to keep us and our pets safe in our homes and elsewhere. Take it away. You got some tips.
That's right. Remember earlier when we talked about homes can become engulfed in flames in as little as 2 to 3 minutes? That's not a lot of time. So you need to do what you can to help everybody in your family escape quickly. So some of the things that we talk about in our fire safety program is how important it is to have a working smoke alarm. You want to make sure to have one on each level of your home, and also outside and inside each sleeping area. Another thing that you want to make sure that you do that you may not be aware of is on the back, there is a date. And I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see it right now, but I'm holding up a smoke alarm, and there is a date back there that shows when the smoke alarm, quote, expires. And after 10 years, if it's older than 10 years, you need to replace that smoke alarm. And I actually went to fought a fire one time. I always like to check out the smoke alarms if you could see them, because a lot of times they would. But after a fire one time, I looked at the smoke alarm and it was just over the expiration date, just right past. So you want to make sure that you do replace all the smoke alarms that are 10 years or older. Also, make sure that everyone in your house knows what the smoke alarm sounds like, especially your children. You also want to make sure to have a plan. And what you can do if you have young children get everybody in your family together and make a plan. This is our plan. And what we did is we drew each room in our house, and you'll see that we have two arrows going out of each room, and that is 2 ways out. Your first way out would be the door. And where would your second way out be, Arden?
The window.
And then you draw your arrows to your meeting place, and our meeting place is the mailbox. Where's your meeting place?
Our meeting place would be the plant at the end of the driveway.
Good, very good. You can have a plant at the end of the driveway, a mailbox, a tree, a neighbor's house, a swing, just where everybody in your family knows where it is. And again, if you have young children that like to draw, even older kids, draw that plan out, put it up on the refrigerator, talk about it so everybody knows what to do. And so here is what you do in case of fire. And please share this with the kids in your life. And also, please share it, your meeting place, where your meeting place is, with people that may visit your house or your grandmother's house. If they don't have a plan, help them with a plan. But here's what you want to do in case of fire. Let's say you're sleeping, and Sparkles used to demonstrate this. She would lay down on her bed and she'd put her head on the pillow. And I talk about the smoke alarm. And whenever I talked about the meeting place, she'd get up, she'd crawl low, and she'd go to her meeting place. It was so fun.
Really?
Yes.
Nice,
But
nice.
anyway, let's say you're in bed and you're sleeping. The smoke alarm goes off. You want to get down and crawl low on the floor. Now, it's important that you crawl on your hands and knees. The air is cleaner and cooler there. 12 to 24 inches. Please don't crawl on your belly. But I do happen to have a picture, and it's a picture of a firefighter crawling on their hands and knees. And this is what we share with the children that you want to be able to do. Now, I do have a picture of Sparkles here, and I'll ask the boys and girls. Dogs, of course, crawl on their bellies, right? I'll say, do dogs have hands and knees? And the children would say, no, that's right. She would have to crawl on her belly, but you want to make sure you crawl low, just like firefighter Michael. So that was always a good
tip.
It was a good visual for them. And then once you get out to your meeting place, this is so important. Once you get out to your meeting place, stay there. Don't go back in for anything. Let the firefighters know if there's somebody still in there, or if there's a pet in there or whatever. Let the firefighters know, but make sure everybody stays there. And that's what we share with children. You want to get out and stay out. So those are our basic tips.
These are good. In Texas, probably in Arkansas like you, we get wacky weather, and we practice, Julie and I, little drills if the fire, in case the tornado siren hits and all. And the one room we have is a walk-in closet off our main bedroom, and we have the carriers for the cats, and the dogs come on a leash. But if they're, we have trained our cats to like carriers, and
that's so important.
To freak out.
Yes.
So I know people sometimes, the pets are better than anything. So is there any tip you can give people to help them train their pets, like in a practice drill, to follow mama and follow the kid and get out?
Well, that's something that you could work on with your with your animals. Another thing you can do is make sure you have everything. This, I've never really thought about this before, but it wouldn't hurt to have like your to go things maybe outside of your home, like maybe at a neighbor's house. Like, hey, could you hold this? And inside it, it has the leash, the water bowl, the food, the medication, and all that. Normally, they suggest put it right by your door, but the main thing is to just get out of the house and not be doing things. What if you just have your pajamas on? You don't want to change and go, oh, I want to make sure I look good for the neighbors. No, get outside. So, maybe if you could do that, just leave that with a friend's house and have that bag ready to go. And that would also be good for wildfires in case you're in an area where there are a lot of wildfires. So a collar, a leash, a list of medications.
As you know, is the winds can shift dramatically and you think you're safe and then you're not.
That's right. That's right. So as with everything else, and as you know as well, being a safety expert like you are too, it is just important to be prepared. Now, fire safety isn't the most exciting topic. However, the dogs and I have found a way to really help get that message home with children and share with them the importance of getting out, staying out, being safe, making a plan.
Getting out,
Get out.
safe. I will beg to differ with you. I think what you teach is amazing, and it's far from boring. It's brave, and it's saving lives. And you've done it with Molly and Sparkles, and I understand you got a new dog named Bowden.
Yes, Bowden's been with us. Bowden's Molly's companion dog for several years. He's going to be 8 this year. And so he's a really good boy. And I named him after, I may have already mentioned this, but I named him after Chief Bowden on Chicago Fire. And
because you love that show.
Because I love that show. Yeah, I think I did mention that.
Hey, we're wrapping the show up. It's going way too fast, but here to continue the legacy is another Dalmatian named Bowden. And for those on the radio, this is a beautiful Dalmatian who's next to Dana, enjoying some treats right now, I guess. So anything you want to say about Bowden and a parting message to those tuning in?
Well, first of all, it's been a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for having us. I'm just so grateful to you, Arden, for helping us get the word out about how important it is to stay safe and to know what to do in case of fire. And I especially appreciate you continuing the legacy of Molly and Sparkles. And Bowden, come here,
Move your face, Bowden.
So thank you so much for having us, and we hope everybody stays safe. Let me see if I can get Bowden to wave real quick. Oh, he's like, no, I'm just going to roll over. There you go.
Nice, Bowden. All right. Everybody, please, after the show, go to keepkidsfiresafe.org. They do welcome donations. This is a nonprofit, and help Dana, help kids and us be fire safe.